YouTube, what the fuck is going on today, guys? Listen. So, we were requested to give a more in-depth guide of our horse track, and I wanted to do that, but before we get started, this is not a one-to-one tutorial. We are going to be going over some of the concepts that we used and kind of the thought process on how to implement them, but this is not a tutorial, but let me know if you found this helpful and if you want to see more things like this for some of the stuff we did in our world. Number one, the horse track itself, the actual track. It was made up a combination of podzol, dirt path, and coarse dirt. So our big thing was we didn't know what all we wanted to do with the track. We kind of wanted stripes, we kind of wanted this, and I was like, you know what? If everybody's running on the track, it's going to look beaten up. So, pretending that this is our track, what we did is we kind of took the three core pieces of our path and we just randomly placed, right? So that's our coarse dirt. That's our dirt path. And then we took our podzol and filled in the rest. And that kind of gives you that beaten path look, right? And then if you look at it and you're like, I don't like the podzol over here. We need to break that up. Boom, dirt path. I don't like the dirt path here. Let's break it up. Boom, podzol. And you kind of just did that. So we did that all the way around the horse track to kind of give it that look, you know? And the reason we used coarse dirt is our original concept was to have the grass surrounding the horse track, and then eventually we replaced it with stone. But yeah, so we used coarse dirt so it would never turn into grass or podzol or anything like that. Secondly, our fences are pale oak. We wanted a nice pristine white fence, and we didn't think birch would cut it, so we went with those. The stadium itself, we used a lot of stone brick. Everywhere around our base is stone brick, so we used a lot of that. So we had slabs, stairs, and blocks and fences. So a common thing that we did for our stone brick pillars would be something like this. So you could easily make a base out of that. If you wanted, you could use slabs, or you could use a stone brick, give it a nice little cement look, and then just build it up, right? And then if you really wanted to, you could probably just run the rim with something like this. I don't know if we did this in our world, but... And then you get that nice finished pillar look. Something like that. Again, you could use slabs in place, and that would kind of give it that look. Now, a big thing about these pillars, what we did is we took fence or stone brick fences and we ran them along the sides. And what that does is it kind of gives you like this beefier look to your pillar. So what I recommend, and especially on the stadium pillars, is we actually took our stairs, you know, the concept of it, and we broke it out one so they're even farther along, right? And it would end up looking like this. You know, and obviously this is completely optional. You don't have to add pillars, but I do find it gives it a little bit of a structural boost. It kind of looks better, you know, to do something like this. And then same thing up top. You just kind of buff it out some, you know, and then it looks like it's really feeding into the pillar. It can hold up a lot of weight as opposed to something like this. It's still good. Could be better. This, I don't love the stair look. Again, it's your world. Do whatever you want. But the reason we bumped that out is so it's like, oh, that's going to hold a lot of weight. It's tiered in, so it looks good. The stadium stairs. So we used stone brick for the stairs, right? And what we ended up doing is we created walkways to kind of tier up the stands. Because nobody wants to... First of all, this looks a lot prettier than that, right? We've got a splash of color because of the wood. You can use whatever wood you think looks best or what you've used in your design. We chose spruce. It's a classic. Can't go wrong with spruce and stone brick. But it's perfectly fine. This is good. We just wanted a designated walkway for our people. You're not stepping over anybody, and you get that color. And frankly, what it does is it also spreads it. It allows us to go back a little bit more than just up, because this is a steep angle, you know, and we wanted to spread that out some. Stairs, you know, everybody's got like some sort of concourse. So we used a different color and we added walls, you know, just to make it look a little different. I like how it turned out. This is kind of how we did it. The arches on the entrance, pain in the ass, right? So if you're doing something like that, the dome itself, what we would do, start with your four sides, right? So if I'm making a dome, I don't want to just free ball it because it takes some math, right? I'm currently free balling it right now, but it is lining up, right? But if we have our four sides, and you build these up, that's not quite even. But if you build up the sides, you can kind of see how they're going to connect, and then you can go from there and put in some sort of diagonal. So I mean that's my biggest recommendation for the dome. Obviously this isn't dome shaped at all, but and that one took a lot of free balling, and we did it on a diagonal. Don't do it on a diagonal. Learn from me. This, to make an archway, right? Bang, bang, whatever. That's a lot easier than trying to figure out how to connect this, right? Like, do I come in here and do I do something like that? Is that like an arch looking thing? Like, is that what I want? It's so much more difficult. Just trust me and make it whatever you choose to do, whether it's, vertical, horizontal, however you build it out, just make it in a straight line. It is so much easier because our roofs don't even match, bro. And I probably should have taken a little bit more pride in that and done it myself. Worked a little bit harder on that, but I didn't. I think okay. So most importantly, do the horseshoe last. So we took deep slate. We love our deep slate tile. We haven't gotten to use a lot of it in most of these builds, so we ran it deep slate all the way around. You've got your classic hay bales, fenced off horses, whatnot. And then we've got like our own water features. So we were like, horses need the water. Let's do this. So we put the waterfall in, and we kind of ran it in so they can drink here. We've got flowers, so it brightens up the place. Personally, purple flower. These are some of my favorites, but also it's a good contrasting color. More hay. We've got some lanterns so mobs don't spawn in with our horses. And then you've got your center lane right here to take the horses out. And then once you're done with all that, you can do the roof. This is pretty easy pixel art. There's a bunch of tutorials out there, but basically like our general shape is a U. So you make your U first, right? So it came over and it came up, and then you kind of just diagonal it over. Diagonal it over. If you're going to do it bigger, you should do it more tapered. So it's like 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, and then match it on the other side, which is how we got those rounded looks over here. But yeah, that's the stables right there. And then this pathway, we experimented a lot in creative. We tried to come up with a couple things. It's a little bit more detailed than our other paths, I think. So we got the tough bricks. They kind of contrast the stone bricks in terms of color, so it gives you a nice outline. We needed lighting. We didn't want to throw lanterns in here and make it look worse. So we got a sea lantern. We thought that was an elegant source of lighting. You could use glowstone, redstone lamps, all that would work. And then we have chiseled stone bricks around the light source, so it kind of like, it breaks it up. It's a little bit different, whatnot. And then we love our leaves here. So we took our leaves, ran it along the side. This pedestrian bridge was solely for the purpose of walking the horses out, and we didn't have people and horses crossing. So we ran a classic staircase, and then we took our dark oak and ran it up as support. You don't actually need support in Minecraft, that's the beauty of it, but it always looks better if you have that kind of stuff. That's why we have pillars there, that's why we have pillars here. Our bridges have this, all that. So we gave it gates, or fences, sorry, on the top, keep people from falling off into the horse pen, into the track, whatever. And then we have our wood beams, our dark oak beams. And then what you can do is you can literally just take leaves and you can have fun with it. It wouldn't look as good if it didn't have the leaves, right? Okay, so like this is what it would look like without the leaves. That's boring, it's dark, it's whatever. Now this may be excessive in terms of leaf usage, but I like it because it's natural, it gives it color, it looks like it kind of grew on its own, whereas like these are well taken care of bushes. We make sure that they're in the proper spot, and then it just gets a little overgrown on the beams, and it just adds that color. It adds a little bit of depth as well, just because the leaves come out and they go in, and it breaks it up, right? It's not just a unanimous build. All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps up this video. So if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, sub down below if you aren't. And if you think I missed anything, you want a more in-depth explanation on anything else we did in this world, feel free to leave a comment asking for it, and I'll be happy to do so. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.